Thank you. Next, we have Hilary Black, BC Compassion Club Society.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I am the founder of the first medical cannabis organization in the country, the BC Compassion Club Society, which was founded in 1997. In the interest of disclosure, I'm also employed with Canopy Growth, but I'm here today in my role as the founder of the Compassion Club. My remarks will focus on prioritizing and protecting critically and chronically ill Canadians through 3 recommendations. We will ask you to protect Canada's historical medical cannabis institution, the Compassion Club, to bring cannabis in all of its forms and potencies into the regulated market, and to remove the unjust taxes on medical cannabis. I have been publicly, safely, and responsibly retailing cannabis out of a storefront for over 20 years. The Compassion Club is a nonprofit society, and our model is unique. In addition to cannabis therapies, we have a subsidized wellness center. Last year, we provided 3,400 non-cannabis related holistic healthcare appointments, such as counseling and acupuncture and clinical herbalism, to some of Vancouver's most marginalized people, with little or no cost to our 11,000 members. Our clients often have multiple diagnoses, mental health issues, and substance abuse issues. They are falling through the cracks of the healthcare system until we catch them. We have developed the gold standard for medical cannabis education. We know how to maximize benefits, minimize risks, and avoid adverse effects, knowledge that is transferable to the recreational cannabis market. In 2002, I had the honor of testifying before the Senate Committee on Illegal Drugs and hosting that committee for a tour at the Compassion Club. Their report recommended the Compassion Club should be the standard for medical access and patient care across the country. Our model was enshrined into municipal bylaws by the City of Vancouver to encourage the replication of that model. Members of the task force, including the chair, Anne McClellan, visited the Compassion Club, and we are referenced as a model in that report. We worked with patient groups like CFAM to host a special meeting of patients for the task force, and partially as a result of that task force hearing directly from patients, the task force recommended the preservation of the medical system, which is absolutely the right thing to do, to encourage patients to use cannabis with the support of their healthcare professional. I was selected by Senator Nolan, may he rest in peace, to receive the Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal, acknowledging the work of the Compassion Club for its significant contribution to Canada. But today, the Compassion Club is facing extinction, as we do not fit into the regulatory framework of the ACMPR or this legalization bill. We have a massive responsibility to ensure the health care of our 11,000 members is not interrupted, and we respectfully suggest that you share that responsibility with us. Washington and Colorado have prioritized transitioning long-standing medical cannabis institutions into the regulatory framework, and we should be doing the same. The Compassion Club is a national treasure, and we ask that you recommend that the Compassion Club be given special consideration and protection, and we will work it out with the government and find a way to survive. We have risked arrest for decades, dedicated to patients, inspired by people like Greg Cooper. When I met Greg, he was 22, had severe multiple sclerosis, and could not put on his pants or feed himself until his tremors, muscle spasms, and pain were relieved through both inhaling and ingesting cannabis and potent cannabis products. Dan Hill, who was no longer with us, was diagnosed with HIV, hepatitis C, mental health issues, and substance use issues. He used potent cannabis products as a gateway out of his addictions to heroin, crack cocaine, and alcohol. He moved off the street into his own apartment, fell in love, and died a happy man. My grandmother, Jean Black, who's 102 in June, she uses a few drops of cannabis extracts in her tea instead of codeine to manage her arthritic pain, and it helped her with the side effects of the intensive radiation she had to heal the tumor in her throat. These are just a few stories of Canadians whose lives have been transformed by cannabis, and I have witnessed thousands of them. And they have asked me today to talk with you about potency and about tax. So there's one really important thing to understand when we're talking about potent cannabis products. Did you know that we have very few cannabinoid receptors in our brainstem? And the brainstem controls cardiac function and respiratory function. And what this means is that cannabis cannot cause death. So when we talk about overdosing on cannabis, it's actually very misleading because the word overdose implies that death is possible. When someone uses too much cannabis, the effects can be very uncomfortable. They can include nausea and vomiting and anxiety, but never death. Potent cannabis products allow patients to consume less plant matter to achieve the required effect and can be more cost-effective. For a recreational consumer, extracts can mean taking one inhalation of an elegant vape pen rather than smoking an entire joint. Potent concentrates, finished edible products, tinctures, topicals, resins, and suppositories must be brought into the legal market as soon as possible. Consumers will continue to access and use these products in an unregulated market. Your concerns will best be addressed by the production, distribution, and education occurring in a regulated market. Potency limits will not achieve the results that you're looking for. So potent cannabis extracts have not been responsible for a single death. Conversely, last year in BC, more people died from opioid overdoses than traffic accidents. One of them was my best friend's 18-year-old daughter. The Compassion Club has acquired tremendous experience with people struggling with substance use issues using cannabis as a harm reduction tool. We have witnessed cannabis being substituted for recreational and prescription opiates, cocaine, alcohol, and even fentanyl. As you know, the opioid crisis is a great public health emergency of our time. This country needs solutions now, and as you have heard, cannabis has great potential. So we implore you to vote yes to Bill C-45 to accelerate the legalization of cannabis in all of its forms and potencies, and to invest in research into the potential role of cannabis as a part of the solution to this crisis. I was raised to believe that as Canadians, we use our power and privilege to protect those who are unable to defend themselves. We stand up for the rights of those who are being mistreated. I'm so disappointed this week that the House of Commons committee decided to maintain the excise tax on medical cannabis. The truth is that I'm ashamed of my country, that we're forcing patients not only to pay a sales tax, but a sin tax on their physician-authorized medicine. Some families are paying hundreds of dollars a month alone. We do not tax medical necessities in this country. So I ask you to please make us proud of our government's compassion and wisdom and remove the tax on physician-authorized medical cannabis. The world is watching us, and together we have an immense responsibility to get this right. We know the harms of prohibition are far greater than the risks of cannabis use. Prohibition laws have disproportionately affected Indigenous people, people of color, and other minority groups. Around the world, families are being torn apart, lives ruined, people jailed, and the futures of young people destroyed. You are a part of righting this great wrong, and I thank you for your diligent work. You can trust the Senate Committee report of 2002. You can trust the legalization task force process and report, and trust your amazing team at Health Canada working its way through these complex issues. So I ask you for three things. Protect Canada's historical medical cannabis institution. Bring cannabis in all of its forms and potencies into the regulated market as soon as possible, and remove the cruel tax on medical cannabis patients. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.